Hi everyone, Laura Zane Wambarocha here from Sage Energy Counseling and Wellness. Today I wanted to go over with you 3 reasons why I think you should work really hard on being the bad guy. That's my finger quotes. So a lot of us, when we're empaths, we have a really hard time with saying no, with putting ourselves in other people's positions and giving too much of ourselves. So my challenge to you for this week is I really want you to work on being the bad guy. I want you to work on feeling uncomfortable. And I know that might seem counterintuitive, but the reason I want you to work on feeling uncomfortable is because often we can't say no. Boundaries are hard for us if we're empaths. We have a really hard time because when we say no, we can often feel the other person's disappointment. And those emotions can be confusing to us. They can make it difficult because on one hand, we want to be able to say no, but on the other hand, we feel the other person's disappointment and pain, and we want to help them avoid that. So a lot of times we'll say yes, even when it's not in our best interest. So one of the things that I want you to do is really work on being the bad guy, allowing it to be okay for you to not feel like you are the hero or the savior or the person that somebody can rely on. Saying no is not easy for empaths. It's just not. We struggle with it. And it's hard for us to disappoint others. So I'm going to give you 3 reasons why, and then we'll talk about a couple reasons, a couple ways to do it. So the first reason is saying no, is part of good self-care. When you're able to say no to people, then you are able to really kind of begin to discern what you want to say yes to and what you don't want to say yes to. So that's a really important thing. It's part of good self-care because if not, we get overwhelmed. We have so much on our plates, and we are often, when we're an empath, the person that people come to when they really want help or need help. And sometimes these may be people that we don't even know. We can be standing in the middle of Target and someone will just come up and start talking to us. So being able to say no and be the bad guy is a part of good self-care. 2, by allowing others to care for themselves, we actually enable that. And what I mean by that is oftentimes as empaths, we are able and capable of jumping in and fixing things. So a lot of times we do. The problem with that is that we are circumventing the person from having their experience. And even painful experiences can be healthy learning experiences. In therapy, I often use the example, and if you have children, you will understand this. I often use the example that if we keep our babies in a walker and we try to prevent them from ever falling and bumping their head or skimming their knee, we are actually preventing them from learning. And because when babies are walking and they're toddling around, there's a reason toddlers have these great big alien heads. It's because they need to fall. And when they fall and they bump their head, they experience pain. It allows them to get back up, figure out how to readjust to avoid the pain. Well, emotions can sometimes be like that. And as empaths, we often want to save people from those emotions because we feel pain so deeply. The problem is that non-empathic people often can kind of pick themselves up. They don't have as low of a pain threshold. And when we help them avoid their pain, then we're actually disabling people by saving them from their pain. So I want you to think about that when you're attempting to save other people from their pain, that you're actually disabling them. You're not doing them a service. The third thing is, by taking care of ourselves, we're ultimately able to pick and choose who we want to give to. If we're giving to everybody, we don't have enough energy, time, and emotional resources to give to the people that we may really want to give to. And so sometimes that becomes our children, sometimes that becomes those closest to us, or sometimes that becomes ourselves and things that we need to do for ourselves. Our own self-care often gets put back on the back burner. So by saying no and by being able to be the bad guy and have people be upset with you, because let's face it, nobody likes being told no. So when you are the bad guy and tell somebody no, it often upsets them. Don't worry about it. They will get over it. They may not like it, but they will. So give yourself permission. Now, for me, sometimes I tend to be an emotional reactor, and if I can do something, I will often say yes without thinking about it. So my first tip is give yourself a minute to think about it. If a minute isn't long enough, then ask for some time. Sometimes when we have time to think about things, we have the time to process them, and we can come back and say no. Other thing is write notes for yourself. Give yourself pointers as to why you're going to say no. You may never need those pointers, but it helps you stay focused when you're talking to the other person. The third tip that I'm going to give you for saying no is to trust your gut instinct. You are an empath, and you will know if you really take a minute to feel about it. You are going to know whether or not it's the right thing to do to say no or not. So trusting your gut instinct on things is really, really important. Anyway, those are my tips for this week. I hope to talk to you guys again soon. If you have any questions or have a comment, please feel free to throw them on the bottom down here, and I'll be glad to answer them. If you'd like to work with me, please give me a call, 941-650-3122, or set up your 15-minute consultation on my website at www.sagesynergy.net. I'll see you guys again soon. Love and healing. Bye.